Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We are joined today by Brandon from BC Baits. Had a great conversation with him. We talk about all things bait making, dive down a couple different rabbit holes here and there. I squirrel brain, get distracted. But if you want to support the podcast, you can go first subscribe to the podcast. You can go subscribe on the YouTube channel if you want to see the videos for the episode. And also there's that Buy Me a Coffee link down below. Really appreciate all you guys, and we'll get right into the show. Okay, so we'll get right into it. So
Yeah, heck yeah.
it's you and your brother. You guys are BC Baits. How did that all get started for you guys?
So it was me and my brother. He'll still come up on occasion. He just graduated high school. He's kind of going down his own path, figuring it out for himself. Right now, though, I have 3 of my college homies who come over and help out. It's pretty much on their schedule. But that's kind of how we're running right now. It's still a very small time, just out of our attic, believe it or not, of all places. And we're just cranking baits. It started when I was probably like 8 years old. I have a ton, just an absolute ton of lures that I made out of wood. They don't even have split rings on them. They were finished with my mom's nail polish. So I've been doing this for quite some time, believe it or not. But it's something that I did in high school, and then I kind of put down for a while. My story was I went to the gym, and that was kind of like the new path for me. I just wanted to go and get jacked and get in shape. So I put bait making down, and then I graduated high school, and I was like, dude, I start a business. So here we are.
Heck yeah, man. And it's like real crazy because like you see, like, before we had started going, you had mentioned you're on, Scales and Tails with Adrian, and it's like, yeah, you guys are just like little guys, and now a little bit older. It's pretty wild
Right.
for people that young to get into bait making and, actually seemingly being very successful at it.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. It is kind of shocking though, because a lot of the just guys and names out there right now, they're very young, which is phenomenal. I absolutely love that. They're kind of swimming upstream with the whole go to college route and, get your degree, get your career. They're doing their own thing, and likewise, they are very successful and they're doing really well for themselves. So it's just super cool to watch the young people kind of just step into the grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I love connecting with them. Like I said, I know, the ages of some of these creators, and it's like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, well, you look at, people like, I don't know if you're familiar with Aerobaits, the little
Uh,
tiny glide baits. It's more BFS.
okay.
But Aaron, he's a super young dude in New York, and
Okay.
grinding, doing that full time, making his BFS glide bait, and got some other things in the work. And like Kyle Gracely, he's not that old. I mean,
Sure.
I'm I'm 28, and he's about my age.
Sure. Sure.
And I'm like, fuck, I'm not that old.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude, for sure. But yeah, I love seeing the young guys, and I try and do what I can to support them. So I'm working on like new painters. There's other bait makers out there alike that I'm also, doing work in with as well. So it's kind of like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Um, but yeah, super cool to see the young guys just doing their thing, man.
Well, yeah, and let's dive into that a little bit, like with you collaborating with some of these other people, because I've seen some cool stuff out there with um,
Sure.
you and some painters or builders, things like that.
I mean, is there anything in particular, like any um, like
Off,
call out of you did a collab with per se Finn Bait or Henry Barber, like what I mean?
yeah, let's just start from the top. Like the last one that I see here on your Instagram is you and Sebastian from Swim Baits All Day. Some pretty
Okay.
sick shirt.
So yeah, I'm actually ripping that shirt right now. Swim Baits All Day, they helped me incredibly with my prototype tees. Um, there was always the vision of embroidering my PEC logo on the chest of the shirt. And then what's more sentimental would be this armband right here. I have the same band tatted on me, and it's a very it's very incorporated into my art and into my work. Um, so yeah, working with Sebastian was awesome. I was hopping on calls with him just like this, and they made the prototypes happen. Um, so I loved working with them. We are working on a new T-shirt right now, which is just an upgraded version of this. We are working with a new guy. His name's Adulting LLC, I believe. And unfortunately, Sebastian told me they couldn't do the armband, and this is like more or less the shirt for me. So we are working on new tees, but we do plan like for hats. We plan on going back through Sebastian because, again, like I said, it was awesome working with Sebastian and Shelby. And likewise to them, dude, it's just another creator who's killing the game right now. They're doing awesome with their clothing work.
Oh, for sure. I reached out to Sebastian. I got my calendar right here. And I reached
Okay,
out and I was like, "Hey, dude, you want to like hop on an episode for the podcast cuz your shit's real
for
cool."
sure.
And he's like, "Oh, that's real cool. Thanks, man. I'd love to." Cuz he's been following kind of since the
Sure.
beginning almost with this podcast, and dude, I don't know. Sebs is just a cool dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Um I really like enjoy when you collaborate with painters like
Okay.
um like WT Lure Works, and I'm not super familiar with like realist image or
Okay.
like how does that all work out? Cuz that is that paint or is that like a wrap on it?
Um, so Realist Imaging and the company UFO Bait Co. They're run by the same guy. He was actually the guy on our Gen 3, which is the bait we originally started our company on. He not only does the painting, but he also does like the wraps, like you said. And right now, the reason being you see so much paint outsourced from us is because I don't have the capabilities to paint my own lures yet. Working out of my attic, I technically shouldn't even be doing this up there, but I shouldn't be spraying, solvent-based paints and the car clear coats, the stuff to really, really do it right. So we're outsourcing all of these baits for paint. We work with WC, Realist Imaging. We have Henry Barber on batches, Finbait Customs. There's just an absolute mess of names. We just sent out a batch to Throwback Baits, so they're going to be one of our Type X drops in the future coming up. But that's kind of our big predicament right now. It's like one of the things I'm actively working towards figuring out is how to paint our own baits and do in-house stuff. Um, but I will say, nevertheless, I do love working with all of these other creators because it's not only, like I said, you know, scratching their back because they're helping me out with paint work, but then, they're also being paid for their art. Um, I forgot, I lost my train of thought, but there we go. Yeah. So it's not only like the two of us working together, but I'm also making another connection. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. And like when you're painting your own baits, it's like, oh, maybe you don't get as inspired as much versus you get somebody else's bait and it's like, okay, maybe we can try something different or
For sure.
do the colors a little bit differently, because here recently Throwback and Willie Pete's did a collab and
I saw that. Yeah.
super dope.
Exactly, and it's just like I said, creators connecting, and God only knows where that'll end up. So it's super cool. I love meeting and just working with another. It's incredible.
Hmm. Well, and I think that um Finbait's his trout paint on your guys' topwater bait is super sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Finn is killing it right now. I got multiple of his baits hanging up on the wall right behind me.
Oh, you got like the I can't even think of all of them, like the grandpa and the papa, or what? What do you got?
It's from their Type X's from our last batch. So
Oh,
I had a moon
gotcha.
eye that I kept for myself, and then there's a copper trout. But yeah, no, we definitely plan on sending him more baits here soon. The Gen 3s, like I said, we're really, really close to dropping this new bait. And all of the painters and connections I've made thus far, assuming they're able and willing, we're going to be ripping batches to them like crazy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's sweet. And you're taking something that, maybe could be considered a setback with you not painting in house, but like
Sure,
also you want to worry about your health and safety because if you're up in an
for
attic,
sure.
like you said, you can't be just like ripping car solvent in an enclosed space with
Yeah, no,
no aeration or anything like that.
exactly. Yep,
But
yep.
you're taking it and you're like using it to your benefit because you're gonna, do cool collaborations with all these other builders and painters and um,
Yeah, no, for sure.
people get to see different stuff, a little bit of variety.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
Um, so you guys started with your bluegill swim bait, and you guys have been. I've been seeing the R&D on it as you guys have gone. So why don't we dive into that and just like the progression of your bluegill glide?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. I with COVID technically established. That was when I made my logo. I really started running that Instagram account. I was building baits for John B, and that's also when the original bluegill bait was designed. There was plenty of kinks with it. This top dorsal fin was super tall. The joint was super tight, so it'd be like a really tight swim. Um, that was our Gen 1. So I kind of want to build baits, but then progressively upgrade them. And it's like I do the R&D per each lure, but I see things that could be improved from that R&D and from the pre-existing lure, like for example, hook hanger placement or line tie placement, just the whole 9 yards. And we went from the Gen 1, put bait making down for a while. We picked back up on the Gen 2, which was a remastered Gen 1. It had, the new smaller dorsal fin. It had the rubber fins, so that was a new thing. And just, overall, like a ton of tweaks to it. And that's where we picked back up as soon as I had graduated high school. And then now, after it's been 2 years, but it was probably a year in production. We had since put it down, and we took about 9-10 months to remaster it and make the Gen 3. And this is going to be the bait that we ultimately land on for just the BC Gill Glide, which is like kind of our staple bait, it being the bait that we came back and bounced back on. But, dude, I will tell you one thing. Going back and forth over CAD, going back and forth with the Gen 3 mold plates that I'd received with all of my requests on how I could make a new lure or a Gen 3, just completely flopping in my face. There has been so many trials and errors with this bait. When I'm telling you, I really stepped back and I had to like relearn how to make a glide bait. We quite literally did exactly that. But since we have our new bait, and I'm very, very happy with it. Again, like I said, just so much trial and error, so many tests. I had crash out weeks where it was like you'd hear of like artists like completely crumpling their work and throwing in the trash, or writers who just completely hit writer's block. It was one of those weeks for me, and I thankfully have other time and energy to show for my time of stepping back from bait making. But yeah, man, I can tell you one thing, it was just a headache for sure.
Oh, definitely. And when you take a step back and come back to it, seeing it with fresh eyes can definitely like open up a little
Oh, and that's
creativity
literally
with
what
it.
it took. I kid you not. All of my friends were on spring break having a good time, and I took that time to step back. I was grinding through spring break, stepped back as soon as spring break was over, and then I kind of came back with a new mentality, new eyes, like you had said, a new mindset, and I was like, all right, let's get this bait dialed.
So, with this latest generation that's going to be coming out, are you guys still going to do it where you have the like rubber silicone fins?
So yeah, here, give me 1 second. I actually just got back from the lake doing more R&D. I have one sitting on a rod tied up. So this right here, I have to do a little bit more weight tuning in the head because, like I said, it is truly a grind. Every single glide bait has its own recipe. But this is the official Gen 3. It has urethane side fins and then a much firmer, softer silicone for that back tail to kind of catch the water we need it to. And I kid you not, the glide is absolutely money on this. It's designed to be fished slower. I like the glide baits that you can truly work from left to right and just kind of has that nice slow swing. So you're not only covering the water on your cast, but you're also covering water from left to right on your retrieve. That's how the bait was designed. That's the official Gen 3. But like I said, we went through so many trials and errors, and we finally landed on our bait. So we're super excited.
Well, it seems like with me and how I fish, it usually seems like I get bit with some of those, like just going slower with bigger baits.
Yes, yep.
And sometimes I'm like, well, maybe I should look at my phone a little bit, and then be distracted, and
Sure, sure.
then start again. And that's usually, I feel like, right after I'm like on my phone for a couple of seconds, and then I put it down. That's when I feel like I usually
Yes,
get bit.
yep, yep, 100%. Another thing too with this bait that we kind of had to figure out was this back tail.
Hmm.
So I learned so heavily how important the tail of a lure is. It quite literally is the rudder. The original idea was to make these urethane fins also the tail, but with this glide bait, it didn't want to catch water properly. So another way to fish when, outside of fishing slower like that is fishing on like the burn. So a lot of these, it's a predatory instinct when prey is speeding up and swimming off that these bass are going to come and just, dart towards fish and like really have the desire to go crush the bait. And we had to remaster and figure out new silicone, new material, a new styled fin on the back there, or tail rather. And that's just another kink we had to work out with the Gen 3 is to get this bait to burn in perfectly, to catch those fish that are more in like hunter mode for their prey.
Hmm. And one thing with this Gen 3 that that you've mentioned and I've also noticed is, so with your Gen like one and two, I believe, like you had the back
Sure.
dorsal fin and it sat up pretty high. Do you feel like that affected
Right.
your hookup ratio with you having a really tall bait like that?
I don't know about hookup ratio because it more so acted like the sail for the glide. Not that we did ultimately have to bring this back dorsal up a little bit, but I think the biggest thing with the hookup ratio on the Gen 2 was probably this hook hanger, if you can see it. The hook hanger was behind that anal fin on the Gen 2, and working with other bait makers and talking to them and with their given experience, I mean, they even said it themselves. They're like, "Yo, that was kind of a goofy spot to put a hook hanger," and I can't disagree with them. But like I said, that's one of the things we actively try and do is improve the bait little by little through each generation and then through the R&D on each generation. So we have new hook placement, a little bit smaller dorsal, so we don't have quite of a sail, but we still ultimately got this bait completely dialed to where it's just a strong gliding bait and strong burning in bait when it needs to.
So with your mounts back there, is the top one a smallmouth?
No,
Can't
the
really
top
tell.
one it's either a walleye or a sauger. I believe it's a sauger. And the bottom one's a muskie. I didn't catch either of those fish. They were just garage sale finds. But I figured for the man cave and, for the sake of who I am, at the price point I found them to, I was like, I can't not pull the trigger on these. Eventually, it'll be my PV 10-pound bass or 12-pound bass, however big it is, on the Gen 3. I want to do like wall art. There's some like Lake Bawa and Japan artists who are just incredible. Murray cod art. I want to go to Australia. So a lot of plans for the wall behind me.
Oh, for sure. Are those old skin mounts or are they replicas?
I know the top one is definitely a skin mount. I'm not entirely sure about the muskie, but if I were to guess, it's probably also a skin mount. They're pretty old.
Oh yeah, dude. This
Yeah.
this gas station near me has they got a bass and trout and perch and walleye, and they're all like real old skid mounts to the
Sure,
point where they're
sure,
like
sure.
kind of brown and kind of crackly and
Yeah,
gross
yeah,
looking.
yeah. Falling apart a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they're but it's like
super cool.
yeah, it's like all history though, and I every time I go out and I look at that bass, I was like, that's like a decent fish for here in the Midwest, but I was like,
Sure,
that's not
for
a
sure.
very big bass at all. I don't
Don't know
must
how
have
it
some
ended up on the mount.
yeah, yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how that got skin mounted and like I don't know. The paint on it is just okay. It's like the lateral line is not super defined. It's real like rounded off. I don't know. It's a little bit
Mm,
goofy. I
mm.
don't know. A little bit of a critic. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I always think about the story behind those fish. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this thing was swimming in a lake, what river? What was its last meal? Just stuff like that. I think it's super cool.
I think it'd be really cool. So like when you um like if you catch a big pike or something like that and they're eating, like it'll
Right.
look like their stomach is like lumpy depending on how
Oh
much
yeah,
they've been
for sure.
eating. I
I've
want
caught those fish. Absolutely.
yeah, I want to see that like represented in like a mount.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool. I've caught bass with giant crappie tails sticking out of their mouths, where they quite literally look like balloons. I think that could be a really cool mount for sure.
Um I don't even okay, so we are talking about your Gen 3 bait.
Quick intermission. We're back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Um with that bait and its upcoming release, whatever that may be, what features does this bait have? Does it have like rotating like hook hangers and all that?
Yeah. So, like I had said, the new, let's hold the remaster Gen 3, the real Gen 3. We're gonna have urethane fins, so these will get glued down and just stuck to the bait much, much better than the Gen 2. This silicone tail is a new, firmer silicone, but it's also softer to catch water. The hook hangers were rotating on the Gen 2. They'll also be rotating on the Gen 3. We have a smaller anal fin, and we have the hook hanger in between, kind of like the ridges of the anal fin and the fin itself. So a little bit bumped up hook hanger. On the Gen 2, we had scales on the gills, which technically fish do have, but we took the scales off just for cosmetic sake. Um, we made this dorsal fin a lot smaller. So that was another thing me and Eric had talked about and just gone back and forth on is fish, when feeding, want to go for weakened prey. And if you have a bluegill or a perch or, any panfish for that sake, any fish in general with a spiked up dorsal fin, that's a defense mechanism. So we really, really tapered down this top dorsal. We have a smaller back dorsal fin. I don't know the true anatomy or like the right wording for all these fins, but there's, like I said, just a ton of upgrades to this new Gen 3. There's perfect scaling. The CAD work on the scaling is perfectly symmetrical. We have a new lateral line down the fish. I don't know how much that'll show, but yeah, we have a new lateral line, so that's a very natural look on a bluegill. Another thing we're going to be doing is releasing these baits with split rings. So it's a tie to the split ring versus a direct tie, which will help hypothetically break offs and you're, losing the bait. So overall, just an absolute ton of revisions to this new Gen 3, which is ultimately why it took so long, just going back and forth with, Eric on the phone. We want this changed, or, I don't particularly like how that looks cosmetically, or, just overall, it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then not only that, but once we got this new bait in, we had to tune it because it's a totally new bait. Glide baits are incredibly, incredibly sensitive to weight placements and, where resin buildup should or shouldn't be. So you got to build it up or shave it down. How far up into the bait the weight needs to be. And just overall, glide baits are a headache to make. But once you have it dialed and you have a solid, strong bait, you have a glide bait.
Mm-hmm. And so when people buy the new Gen 3 bluegill, um, is it coming with hooks and split rings?
Oh, absolutely. We've always sold baits with hardware.
Mm-hmm. What hooks are you guys running for those?
We run Owner ST56. They're size 2. With the size baits that we make right now, that's all of our hooks, so it's just one standard hook order for me. And let me tell you what, they are sharp. I stabbed myself to the lake today doing R&D right before this podcast. They are sticky, sticky hooks.
Oh man, just look at them wrong and they'll hook you.
No, literally, literally.
Um, One thing that I think you guys are doing that's really cool is so you guys have the bluegill guy glide bait, but you guys are also doing something cool in my opinion because I
Sure.
don't think there's not a ton of big top waters coming out. I don't feel like people are like super actively, from my opinion, are super actively
Sure.
like
Yeah, no,
making
for
big
sure.
top waters, and no one's doing like a ton of like multi-piece swimmers like your guys' last drop here recently with
Type X. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, so just like any other brand that you see, they also have other options of lures. Like I said, this is kind of our staple with just how much promo work has gone into it, how much time, how much energy, how much R&D. But we also want to do top waters. We want to do wakes. We want to do dives. Um, like I said, we're still kind of a baby learning how to crawl and walk. But in due time, I plan on doing bigger and smaller sizes of all our lures. I plan on doing, God only knows. BC baits, BC swim baits could turn into just BC baits, and I do jerk baits or topwater frogs or you name it. But we do have a lot of plans here, and we just decided to stick and run with swim baits for now.
Mm-hmm. No, your guys' Type X is pretty sweet. I was scrolling and I see that and I had like missed the drop, especially like we have um out where I'm at, there's a lot of stock trout, like
Yeah,
trout
for sure.
stocking and stuff like that. So I was like, that's like the perfect size, rate like rainbow trout, just like the perfect color. And I was like, I was like thinking, I was like, I have a lot of trout glides. I don't have like a swimmer, and I think that would just
Yeah,
be like perfect. It'd be something different that I haven't thrown at these fish before.
yeah, no, absolutely. And not that I'm trying to toot my own horn, but they are catching giants already. I mean, I have probably like a low 30-inch pike on it when I went up to Michigan. I got a cabin up there. Um, Tons of bass. People overall, it's a very positive lure review so far. I just got multiple DMs in yesterday or over the past following days. One was yesterday, believe it or not. And the guy was just ecstatic that he caught a bait on the Type X. And he's like, dude, the swim on this thing looks like a soft bait. Like it's really, really tight. It's kind of got that reverse joint where it's jointed on both end of the lure, so it quite literally does resemble an X looking at it from top to bottom. In fact, I have one right here. This is actually the last two previous drops ago. This is a fin bait custom, but yeah, there's reverse joints top to bottom, so it quite literally does look like an X in the joint. Um, I figured, it not only would add extra motion and action to it, especially once we put a bill on it for a wake or a crank down, but I always like to leave kind of hidden marks into my work, and that X joint was just an additive to the lure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cause you guys are out of like Chicago, right?
Yeah, Chicago suburbs.
Yeah. How about them Bears?
Hey, man, I'm not a sports guy. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm not either. I just know that they lost
Yeah,
yesterday
they
or
lost.
whatever.
I know. Tragic, tragic.
Um, but something that it seems like you're really into, just based off of what I previous knowledge, but like you're
Sure.
really into music, and that's kind of where like Skid Row the name came out of.
Yeah, so that's a really funny story. I'm glad you bring that up. Um, with naming lures, I always spend like a good amount of time on. It's like literally a week. Like I'll contemplate new names and like what is it about this bait that gives it the the name that I ultimately land on, right? And like you'd said, I love music. I feel as though I'm a very well-rounded person outside of BC baits and just fishing in general. And Skid Row was so tough on us for just coming up with the name. I had my brother on it when he was up in the shop. My college friend, his name's Grant, would come over, and I kid you not, we would like just sit and think on this name for hours on end. And I remember I really liked Clash. Not that I wanted to copy Clash, right? The Clash 9 in DRT, but for the Skid Row, just it being a topwater bait, I figured Clash, like the clashing of this lure, because it is topwater, would be cool. But I ultimately didn't go with that, right? That's just kind of where my head landed and kind of ran with for a bit. But I remember I was like almost at a defeat and just loss of what are we gonna call this thing? And we always have music on. I have an Attic playlist in my phone for just straight jams, rock and roll and house music, and just to get hyped, right? And I remember Skid Row comes on. And I'm like, dude, this is perfect. Like the perfect name. It's a top water lure. It quite literally skids on the surface. It darts out further than your typical spook, and it's technically supposed to resemble a trout or like some sort of salmon-y styled bait. And the eggs that they make are roe, ROE, not ROW. So that was kind of our play on, and then I did the whole dots above the O just to be like that rock and roll kind of separation thing. And yeah, it was ultimately just us at a defeat, and the right music, the right song came on, and it was literally titled "Here I Am." So it was like, boom, there it is. There's the name.
That's awesome.
And then,
dude.
believe it or not, I have a similar story for the Type X, but a different story, of course.
Um, so what's on the Attic playlist?
Dude, you name it. AC/DC, Motley Crue, Draft Punk, you like just the whole nine. What I do is, because like I mentioned, I have my college friends who come over. So what we'd like to do is kind of include everyone. And I will literally hand my phone on open to them, and I'll be like, yo, add some of your favorite songs. Let's get this energy hyped up. Like let's build some bass today. You know what I mean? And I like there's probably hundreds of songs from my own personal playlist, from their playlist, from songs that they like. I mean, the range is just drastic.
Oh man, I was just like envisioning like you guys up in the attic and you just bump in and people walking by and like just like looking up and they're like, what the hell is going on up there?
It's like the one episode from SpongeBob where the lights are just going crazy and the whole
Yeah.
house is shaking. Yeah, that's us, quite literally.
Oh man. Yeah, I also like have this vision of like somebody like adding something in there, just like killing the vibe. It's like you're going from like ACDC, like Highway to Hell, and then freaking I don't know Bruno
There is.
Mars or something goes
Plus,
on.
there
It's
is.
like
No, there's a couple like kind of slower emo songs, and it's like, how did we go from house to this? But yeah, it's a great time. It's a great time.
I feel like when I'm driving home, I feel like my um just like own little playlist that I have is very back and forth. It's like okay, we're going from uh like like Cody Johnson, who's like kind of like a traditional like country guy, and then we're going to
Country, right?
like freaking like death metal. It's like we got quite the range
Yep.
here.
I gotta work on it. But yeah, no, absolutely. It's not just music; it's all art alike, and that's kind of how I ended up on building baits. So it's music. I do like sketches. Um, but yeah, anything in the realm of creation. So super cool.
So when you have time, which I imagine you don't have a ton of time with you going to school, building baits, and all that, but we have time to go out and fish. What's that looking like for you? Are you beating the bank? Do you got a kayak or a paddleboard?
It really depends on the mission. I will say I'm not in school this semester. We're prioritizing bait, so that's why I think things are going to start picking up for us here. But we mainly, let's see, I don't, yeah, like you said, I don't get out as often as I do. But I do have a John boat. I have a built-up John boat that has like the carpeted decking on it and a front trolling motor, a back trolling motor. So if we're not taking the boat out, it is more or less a foot mission. Um, I'm on the fence of going to Chicago tonight and just fishing the harbors with like small finesse. Obviously, it'd be a foot mission, but I'd say it's probably a good like 60-40 whether we're on a boat or on foot.
Mm-hmm. So when you guys are out there, what does fishing look like for you? Are you trying to throw a lot of your own baits? Are you throwing swim baits, conventional?
Yeah, it's mainly exclusively my baits. At least these days. I was a high school bass angler, and I would do the whole, finesse thing and fish small, fish slow. But, I kind of veered my way into the swim bait world when I was younger too. And now, if I'm out on the water, I literally can't pick up another creator's bait just out of I want to catch it on my lure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a spiteful thing, but it's like, I'd rather see it come from me. And it's just that much more of a rewarding feeling catching a fish on your own bait that, you poured your heart and soul into and is now painted by someone else who has their art on it. And, God only knows, it could be your next biggest PB. And who would want to say they caught it on another person's bait if you
Yeah,
have your own company? Right?
for sure. Um, what rods, what reels are you guys using?
For reels, I'm exclusively Shimano. I have a reel hookup who has his own company, and he's getting me some of the coolest, craziest JDM reels. So that's super cool. I love working with him. I'll trade him swim baits for reels. It's a phenomenal connection. And then for rods, for conventional, it's exclusively Dobbins. For swim baits, it's kind of in between Lowdown Custom and Leviathan right now. However, I've heard countless good things about like Cotter rods or McGee or there's just other various brands and makers out there that I would love to venture upon and who knows, maybe even do a rod collab with them at some point, have a little BC branded rod. But yeah, for right now it's mainly Lowdown and mainly Leviathan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. McGee, dude, he makes some sick rods. I had him on the
He does.
podcast, and
Yeah, for sure.
another Midwest dude, like doing some cool stuff, man.
And another younger dude at that, right? It kind of
Mm-hmm.
comes full circle what we were talking about earlier.
Oh, for sure. And
Yep.
so with like I don't have a ton of time to like go out fishing as much as I'd like to.
Sure.
Um, today I was like, oh, it's perfect. I can drop my fiance off at work and I'll like go hit this smalley spot and try to stick
There you
one.
go.
But then I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta do this podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to just blow you guys off. I was like, all right, let me do this podcast. I'll work on some stuff
Sure, sure.
at home, and I'll try to get out
Lock in
another
for a
time.
little bit and then go hit the water. No, I get it, dude. I get it.
hmm but like my fishing nowadays. So recently, I tried out fishing on a paddleboard.
Okay.
Dope. It was
Yeah, dude. Honestly, that's the wave, man. I got one kind of in the back burner right now for those smaller missions, the river missions. But yeah, I feel like homeless fishermen kind of revolutionized how people throw big baits, and it's just paddleboard, paddleboard, paddleboard now. So
hmm
it's
Oh well.
awesome, man.
So like, before I was on like just some boat stuff whenever I could like go with a buddy or family or whatever, go out on a boat. But mainly it's been, I've always had a kayak and I've gone kayak fishing. And then I wanted to try out paddleboard, so I borrowed one from a buddy. And dude, it's a game changer, like kind of in my opinion, because I could
Sure.
straddle it and you're using your fucking legs to steer it.
As
And
like a
you're
rudder, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I don't have to put my rod down, pick up my paddle, maneuver around because I don't have, power poles or anything, fancy on my kayaks.
For sure.
And so I was like, could just like kind of semi troll myself down the bank and hit up some of these spots, dude. It was real cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, I have fished on a paddleboard personally. Nothing crazy. There's bigger paddleboards kind of meant for fishing.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I've backburnered. I'm like, oh, dude, it might just happen where I pull that trigger and have two little vessels to go on when we go out. But yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Oh yeah, I've seen some like really kind of decked out paddle boards, but then you see really
Oh,
decked out
yes.
kayaks, and I was like, in my opinion, I was like, I kind of like it almost takes away if you have kind of freaking live scope
Oh, yeah, no, we're
on your
100%.
yeah, it's like oh, especially it's like you get it to a point where it's like okay, it's no longer accessible to like everybody
Yeah, right, right, right.
because I've we've all been in you know the shoes of okay, we're younger, we don't have like a huge disposable income, like I can't just like have
Throw
freaking
money out. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
um but yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm torn between oh, I want to fish like all these because I have a decent like swim bait collection, and a lot of my um a lot of my stuff at this point is like from bait makers and stuff like that. It's like my soft plastics are from like bait makers and all that. I don't have like a lot of, if I do have like any like big corporate baits, it's like kind of JDM stuff.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's like I just want to fish people's bait and put fish on them. Like the last fish I caught was okay, scratch that because I was just hooking like worm and bobber for this little spillway, little send
Sure.
that me and my buddy did. But it's like yeah, the last swim bait fish I caught was on a Gracely finesse skill on that paddleboard, which was super
Sure.
dope.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, Gracely, the little finesse stuff, dude, it gets it done.
Have you I don't know if I've ever seen it, but have you tried to reach out to like um Sensei swim baits and do like some painting or stuff because he painted my finesse skill and it's freaking real sick.
Me and Sensei go back and forth all the time. He's awesome, dude. Austin is incredible. He's helped out with paint jobs for us. Um, it's funny too. I've seen it where we do like their smally paint job on our stuff. We did that drop, and then I saw like four other creators. Not I don't know about four, but a couple other creators do the exact same thing after we drop those. Um, Austin's helped me with paint tips. He's helped me out with dead meat custom eyes because for the previous Gen 3 that didn't work out, I ordered eyes for those. And then the new eye socket that came in, just based off the printer not being able to print perfectly correct to the millimeter. The new eye socket that I got in on the Gen 3 was different, so he floated me free eyeballs from Dead Meat Customs. So yeah, Sensei is awesome, dude. We worked with him quite a bit. We keep up quite a bit. Um, he's kind of filled me in on his life story, and we're back and forth. I've kind of cued him in on my life. So, but yeah, just again another full circle moment. Just that many, or just another creator that we've worked with and connected with.
I do so like with my schedule, I'm really bad about like missing drops for swim baits. Not that I always have like money to
Sure,
go out and buy, swim baits, but um
for sure, for
I
sure.
keep missing Austin's drops for his crawler, and I finally found one uh on black market on underground, and I jumped on it right away. It was like super good price. I
There
was
you
like
go.
I was like I will buy this. I will send money now. Like
Right, just jumping at the opportunity. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so now I got the not the full
Is that the
lineup.
frog crawler he does?
Yeah. I don't got the
Yeah,
full
cool.
Sensei swim bait lineup, but I got the Candy Gill, now the crawler, and I got the Diva Glide. I got a blank that I got to paint. Oh,
There it is. Bang.
dude, I
Aren't you
wanted to
glad you did this podcast versus going fishing right now?
yeah, it's like I can go paint that. Um, one thing that I was gonna say
For sure.
about the Gill Glide is I like the scaling on it because I feel like you could do some really cool and different stuff with the bait being textured versus it being smooth, and you paint like
Right.
painting on scales is, super dope. You can do really cool things, but I kind of like textured baits because I feel like you can do some cool stuff with blending and make it flow really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The big thing would be like layering. You can layer more with scaled because there's that much more texture, in each and every crevice of the scale. But yeah, we kind of always started with scaled baits, but I will say we do intend to do a non-scaled version because some of the creators or fishers out there are more directed towards the smoother baits. So, and then likewise, painters can also kind of layer on smoother surfaces. So we just kind of want to offer the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Because, dude, I look at like repaints of like bull shads. Well, that's like a rabbit hole in and of itself because apparently bull shads are a little difficult to repaint if you don't like really prep them right. Um,
Right.
but like repaints on bull shads, because they're all textured and everything and scaled, so sick. There's
Right.
like some really cool shit out there on bull shads.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, are you guys gonna hop on kind of the trend of doing like pink lemonade on one of your guys' baits?
What I was thinking for a throwback collab would be that they do some pink lemonade, and then like half the batch would be pink lemonade, the other half would be like a rose gill. I know that that shipment of blanks has touched down to them in Minnesota, but I have yet to talk to Kyle. So maybe hop on the trend, but probably the trend from the creators so that we're not just the next guy overdoing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when I start painting myself, who knows? I mean, if there's a high demand for pink lemonade because of throwback and because of the homeless fisherman, maybe we'll do a batch of it. Maybe we'll come up with our own BC bait in-house exclusive where it's like I partner with the next guy, kind of like what throwback did, and now there's the next color out, like a black midnight or whatever the case may be, and that will be
Mm-hmm.
like kind of our staple color. But yeah, I've seen pink lemonade from every creator to the next.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you see it on some freaking soft plastics. It's kind of stuff like that.
Dude, absolutely.
I mean, it's a sick color. Like
You
the
can't argue with chartreuse. I mean,
for
chartreuse
sure.
gets the job done, and it's a smallie killer. So maybe we'll do like our take on a pink lemonade, and it be
Mm-hmm.
kind of different, or instead of a pink, we do a little bit more fluorescent orange, or who knows. But yeah, I'm sure you'll see some fluorescence on our bait sooner or later.
For sure, dude. I've hopped on the pink lemonade trend a little bit. I have a G2 shell cracker that I painted in pink lemonade, and I was like, "Fuck, this thing's real cool now."
Sweet, dude. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
It felt
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, it felt a little sacrilegious because, I believe the shell cracker that I got was custom painted by Jackal from Jen Gervasi, and she does
Mm.
the bullshad baits,
Yeah,
and but the paint was all like stripping and peeling and chipping, and I was like, all right, I don't feel super bad about this, like stripping the
right.
rest of the
Time for a
bait down.
makeover.
Yeah, because it's like this is real
Yeah, yeah,
cool,
yeah, for sure,
but it's, if anything, I can strip it back down and paint it something different if I want, or whatever.
for sure. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You could do that over again. So it's almost quite literally like a car paint job.
Mm-hmm. Um, kind of along the lines of painting and everything, and we kind of previously touched on it. Um,
Sure.
so a lot of like the bait kind of wraps that I've seen before have been like the DIY stuff where it kind of heat shrinks on, and in my opinion, those kind of look like garbage. But versus like what realist
Sure.
imaging can do, like that shit's really cool. It's real clean as
Oh,
well.
yeah. No, it's tight for sure, for sure, for sure. Um, I've kind of talked to Eric and a few other guys who more or less have the capabilities to do that. And I think it's like a ways down the line. But, there's no telling. Eventually, that could be something we work towards where we can do our own kind of imaging work on our baits. But yeah, dude, realist imaging, they kill it just through and through. And I will say, kind of like a shameless plug, working with him for as long as we did, he's incredible to work with. So, yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Oh, dude, all these things just keep popping in my mind, like that I forget to say.
For sure.
One thing that's really cool with your guys' Type X is the gills. You kind of do something a little unique that um, you don't really see on hard baits, I would say. It's kind of seems more like it's in the soft plastic silicone realm that people are doing the gilling.
The pipe cleaners, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We wanted to, because we kind of had like that perfect deep crevice on this bait already. And I would like to, just kind of give my take and my touch, just to kind of stand out. And, what better than realistic gills, a little pipe cleaner gill. The only guy that I have seen who does that would be Hinkle. The intent wasn't to copy Hinkle, but just to kind of give it the additive, look and feature to the Type X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I hadn't really seen that on like hard baits, and I've never owned a Hinkle. I just don't have the setups to like throw a big
Even
Hinkle.
throw it, yeah,
Dude,
for sure.
I guess
For sure.
Well, but it's like I also don't want to spend an outrageous amount of money for a Hinkle.
$600 on a glide. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, 100%.
Oh yeah, and like, uh, Jeffrey the King, he is like, oh, lost a Hinkle trout, and I'm like, I would like freaking cry, dude.
Cry, literally cry, bro. Suit up with scuba gear. You're going in for that thing.
Oh man, I've like almost dived for like there's this one reservoir, and I got like a big softie snagged. It was like a custom one, and I was like,
Yeah,
that I got hand poured specifically for me, and I was like,
right.
I was like, am I gonna dive for this? So I'm like down to like
Tough,
my freaking
dude.
underwear, and I can see
Yeah.
the bait because it's like super clear water, and I start going in, and I'm like, okay, this is actually like probably way deeper than I think it is. Um, I was like, is it worth it? And I'm like, probably not. I was like, I don't need to freaking have somebody find me all tangled up in this
Washed up.
trash
Yeah.
underwater just in my underwear. It's not the vibe I'm going for.
Sure. Well, I'll say for one, I've done quite the opposite. I'm going in for it. If it's worth it, I'm getting in.
I've if it's not too deep, this was like 15 feet down. I had super crystal clear water, so I was like, a little sketch. Maybe I need to reevaluate my priorities here, but dude, I've definitely like waded in after like some stuff. Depends on how expensive it is.
Right, if it's worth it, for sure. I think my cutoff would probably be like 10 feet of water. Anything past, I'm not doing it.
Oh well, we're kind of fortunate to where a lot of our waters like can be pretty clear up here, but
Right.
dude, if I like broke off a bait in like Texas or no, not even Texas specifically, I would say like Florida, because I lived in.
No, thank you. I'm not getting in there.
Dude, no chance. When I went and
No
visited,
chance.
like Lake Okeechobee, like there was a huge like 10-foot gator like right by, like in the water right near the bank, and I was like, yeah, this is Florida. This is
Yeah.
big
Jeez.
ass iconic lake, and there's an alligator right there.
Swamp puppy. That's a swamp dog right there, dude. Dang.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah,
like
Florida at its finest.
oh, I've almost caught a few like baby gators on topwater frogs, and I
I've
asked
done that before.
oh dude, I asked a local. I was like, what do I even do? Like if I catch one, he's like, oh, you just take the hook out, throw it back in. I was like, fuck that. Like,
And we didn't have any year. But I did exactly that. We bought a frog, topwater frog, saw a gator, caught the gator, literally grabbed it behind the head as you would like a snake, took the hook out, let it go. But yeah, I don't know, man. Florida is quite the state for fishing and just in general. I mean, geez.
Well, it's you see like Marshall, the homeless fisherman, or that young guy Knowles, and they're out in Florida and
Knowles, yeah.
feet dangling over the paddleboard. Like, I was like, dude, I was in like these places with fucking huge gators, man. I can't even imagine.
Huge. No, that's terrifying. That is terrifying.
Especially like coming from the Midwest, where relatively there's not too many dangerous animals here versus
Right.
maybe mountain lions, bears, but it's like, man, alligators just seem like they're on another level, man.
No, they are, dude. They are.
But I've also heard, like, if you're on a paddleboard or a kayak, you see the crazy videos, but also people are like, oh, like you're in a 10-foot like paddleboard, 11-foot kayak or whatever. They don't bother you because you're big.
Right. I don't know if would personally want to run that risk, but I don't know if it's one of those animals where it's like if you leave it alone, it'll leave you alone. It's not one I want to find out.
This last little fishing trip that I went on last week, we were walking down the creek, and a little water snake just like crossed the trail, and I like jumped and yelled, and I was like, oh, good thing I didn't freak out.
Yeah.
It's like little tiny
so
snake.
Funny.
Yeah, little
Sure.
tiny snake, and just like, yeah, I jumped as high as I could, like over it.
That's hilarious. That's really funny.
Oh man. When you're out on the water and maybe you got a hankering for a snack, are you bringing anything like that? Any specific drinks, snacks?
Personally, I usually bring my banana. I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. Normally I just bring like a big water bottle, stay hydrated. Sometimes it'll be like just a quick sandwich. But yeah, I want to say when I'm out on the water, dude, I'm like a one-track mind where all I want to do is fish.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear it from my friends too, who aren't the biggest fishers. They're like, dude, you're something else. And I literally just go into that mode, and I'm like, all right, we're here to fish. Let's fish.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that way too, where it's like, okay, I kind of need to remember. Maybe I should like bring water, dude. The Powerade Zero, the blue one. It's kind of my jam. That one's pretty.
There you
go. Good hydration. But yeah, like water or that Powerade. I'm a big sunflower seed guy, but
oh yes, that's a good one.
But if I'm like wearing my GoPro,
right,
and I'm just munching on sunflower seeds, I was like, fuck, nobody wants to hear that. Like,
see them like flying off in the cam too
yeah.
when you're spitting them. That's really funny.
Yeah, I've done that before. My fiance, she was like editing up the video. She was like, "You're stupid. Like, this is terrible." You just hear
so
smacking
fun.
and.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've done. So I have like a little YouTube channel, and I've done this series of like, doing different on the water snacks. And I don't know if you've had Vienna sausages, but it's not the move for a boat snack. I tell you what.
All right, well, I'll backlog that one. That one's noted. Normally jerky though. Jerky's on the boat more than not.
Oh man, there's this brand of jerky. I can't remember what it is. It has like a skull of like a longhorn on the package. Super simple, clean packaging, and it's like real hard and dry and tacky. That's kind of my go-to for jerky, is something like that.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good stuff right there. We have this one meat company. It's called Reams. It's not too far from here. It's actually in the town of one of the better fishing quarries that I know of, where I'm based out of. And they make the most delicious jerky. And I'm talking like all sorts of meats, all sorts of flavors. You got your tacky, your chewy. That's a go-to stop when I'm fishing that quarry, man. That jerky is incredible.
I'll have to check it out. I don't know if... Because we're both
if
here.
You're ever in the Midwest or ever in the suburbs, it's called Reams, and it's just absolutely incredible.
Okay, so like where you're at in the Midwest, do you guys have Casey's, like gas stations there?
Um, I see a few here and there. It's not like a huge thing. But yeah, there's a couple Casey's. If you go up north, of course. I think, yeah, I normally have to drive before I start seeing Casey's. So it's not as big as in, other parts of the Midwest, but they're around for sure.
Mm-hmm. If you get a chance, their breakfast pizza, it's gas, dude.
Okay, all right. Maybe a pre-energizer heading out on the water. I'll also have to backlog that one.
Oh, yeah, because you guys are like in the Chicago area, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What does the fishing look like near you guys?
I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's god awful. I've fished other states. I'm lucky enough to fish northern Michigan, near kind of like Traverse City area. So I get to experience the really, really good fishing. I'll go to Wisconsin, and then fishing around here, man. It's not anything to boast and brag about. I'll say like a 5 pound bass where I'm at it'd probably equate to like an 8 pounder down south. Maybe honestly, maybe even closer to a 9. Um, every body of water is overfished. You can catch fish in all these places if you know how to fish and what you're doing, but it's all just like not the cleanest of bodies of water, and then the fish that you will catch are kind of like scrappy or not as healthy. So personal experience, I'm not really that fond of Illinois fishing. It gets better as you go further south towards the power plants, or further up north towards Wisconsin. But I still make do. I mean, I'm finding all the quarries that you know technically not supposed to be there, or I get permission to other places where it's like, okay, I know the gate to get into this gated community. I know the gate code because I made friends. But yeah, I'm making do with what we got. I will say one of the quarries I do go to near that Reams Meat Company, I caught a 5.5 pounder on the Gen 3, which was super cool for it being one of the first fish on a literal blank lure. Um, yeah, you more or less have to travel to get to any good fishing based on where I am specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like like out in the Black Hills of South Dakota, trout fishing kind of like reigns supreme. But
Sure.
a lot of it's like, unless you're going to, different streams and creeks, a lot of it's, if you're at a lake or a pond or whatever, it's a lot of stalkers. And I'm
Right.
like, that's cool, you know, it's not really my thing anymore.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
it's like I've, been there, done that.
Yeah, no,
And,
for sure.
I'll be at a pond and there's, all these like stock trout swimming around, and I'll tell my fiance or my buddies, I was like, you know what this place needs? It's like, this place needs some bass.
Some big old bass.
Uh,
Oh, yeah.
we were uh, we were fishing this like stream last week that goes up, like the lake spills into the stream, and so we are going up the stream and fishing some of the deeper pools, and then fishing the spillway, and then going up and fishing the lake, and the stream was just like tons of little creek chubs, stuff like that, and I'm like, you know what this needs? I was like, this needs some smallmouth. It'd be real
Yes,
dope in
dude.
this small stream, deeper pocket fishery.
For sure, for sure. All plumped up on trout. Yeah, man, that'd be awesome.
Oh, dude, like we didn't even see a trout in that stream. Like, which is weird because other parts of that stream are really good for like brook trout and stuff like that. But dude,
Sure.
I don't know. That stretch was just like creek chubs, and I was like smallies. It's what this
Smallmouth.
needs.
Yep, yep, yep.
Especially like we were throwing like ultralight and BFS, so that would have been real dope. Like
Really
throwing,
fun. Yeah, for sure.
throwing in some of those deeper pockets and pools that we were fishing. Catching like probably they probably wouldn't get huge, but 12-inch smallie, something like that.
Yeah, on ultralight too. That'd be a good time. You do that all day.
Oh heck yeah, we my my buddy though we got up to the spillway, it was clear enough to where we could sight fish these different fish. And so he was like just honed in on these like 13 to 15 inch like big suckers. and was just reeling them in. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's
Um,
awesome.
I feel like I've seen your bluegill glide bait on YouTube from a bigger creator.
Um, you're thinking of TY Pig Patrol,
Yeah.
probably, more than likely, yeah. Yeah. I don't know how exactly that started. I want to say we reached out to him just as kind of means to get more word out, reach out and connect with more content creators. That was probably a year and a half ago, so quite some time ago. And since we've sent him a couple dates, it's been like one every 2 3 months, and he'll go out, he'll make a pond video on it, or a lake video wherever he fishes down in Texas by him. Um, and he always seems to get us good content, big fish, and that's kind of what we're after. So good relationship there on yin and yang. Get a bait, we get some content in return. But he's a really cool dude too.
Yeah, he seems like pretty sweet and has kind of been on like the big bait grind here recently.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
Um, One guy that I really like watching on YouTube is ND Yak Angler, another Midwest guy, and he's
Yeah,
just
dude.
like,
I Go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
dude, he's just like ASMR, like on the water. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah,
welcome back, everybody. We're out here on another kayak mission." I'm like, love it.
money. His name has come up more and more recently on our end. We've reached out to him. We just haven't heard back. So that'd be another creator I'd love to get our baits in the hands of for some kayak action, just fishing content in general.
Oh, dude, him like sticking a big pike, smallie or muskie on like the Type X or the Skid Row, that would be super dope.
Super sweet. And it's just another connection on our behalf. One more creator we've reached out to and built a relationship with.
Mm-hmm. And that's like what this industry is kind of about too. Is just building those connections and having relationships because I don't know, it can be like a really good community when you want it to be. If things don't
Right.
get too toxic.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Um, what we've seen and heard, because we're not as established as, some of the other names out there, is it's either a phenomenal community, but there's, like I said, yin and yang. There's both good and bad.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Yeah.
One other dude, I guess from Minnesota, that's kind of ASMR uh fishing. Oh, what? I don't even know how to say it. It's like Null Spells or whatever. It's a young dude out of Minnesota,
Um,
and
okay.
he fishes some bigger baits and stuff like that. But he's also kind of like Andy Yak Angler, where he's just real cool, zen, like calm, collected.
Sure.
I'll have to send you a link to some of
Yeah, I
his
don't
stuff.
know. Yeah, most definitely. I know him personally, but the only three is create and just pull it out, start.
Yeah, you kind of like broke in and out of there a little bit.
Yeah, it was weird because you kind of did the same. But I was saying, yeah, that's kind of what we intend to do is to just reach out to as many creators as we can with the Gen 3 and, bait's just moving forward. So I'll have to check him out, dude. You'll definitely have to send me his link.
Mm-hmm. Um, Moving forward with BC baits, you have
Sure.
anything besides your Guild Glide that you guys are coming out with the latest iteration? Um, Anything newer coming down the pipeline you care to share?
Yeah, strap in. But yeah, tons, literal tons. We're going to be releasing the Gen 3. We are going to still consistently be running Type X drops while we're pumping out Gen 3s. We're going to be remastering this is super progressively the Gen is going to be over.
God damn it.
I got a we're back. We're back.
Yeah, dude, that fucking sucked because it was just like glitching out the
Just
whole time.
straight static.
I was like, that fucking sucks. He's probably dropping like some really juicy shit right now.
Yeah, dude, I was, man, I was. But yeah, I can run it from the top. Let's see, where did I start? We're going to be releasing the Gen 3, like I said. We're going to be running Type X's all the while we're dropping Gen 3s. Over the winter, we're going to be remastering the Skid Row into a Gen 2. And like I said, we progressively get better with each version and new gen of a lure that we've pumped out. So I'm going to tell you what, the Gen 2 is going to be killer, if I do say so myself. But that's one of the things we're going to do. I have a prototype carpet decal on my boat right now. It's like a big 12-inch by 12-inch BC logo. We're going to be dropping those on the website here shortly. We're working on the t-shirts so that we have, some merch available for our website, pre-drop or, just readily at any given point, not just on drops. Another thing we need to work on, and we are actively working on, is painting. So we're going to be doing in-house painting, hopefully rather soon here. The sooner the better. What's something else? I have an editor and content guy for my stuff, but scheduling lately has been tough. So I'm going to be getting camera equipment to where I can do my own drop photography, my own video. Come springtime, we intend to make a smaller BFS version of this Gen 3. So it's still a while and ways out yet. We have a ton of people already asking us for a smaller version. We're going to be doing a bigger and smaller version. And then once we've mastered that, we're going to be doing a scaleless version. So we have the scaled, non-scaled. Yeah, man, there is just an absolute ton. I could keep going. I mean, I have my college buddies coming over, so there's that much more time and effort and energy going into it. So drops should be getting bigger here, more consistent here. We're, connecting with a bunch of creators, new painters, previous painters. So just overall, dude, I keep saying, and I can't stress it enough, just stay tuned because the ball is always rolling, always rolling.
Heck yeah, man. I think that'll be real cool for the smaller bluegill. I feel, well, like
Yes.
past couple of years, it seems like there's been a movement towards smaller baits that are more accessible to more people, if you know what I mean, like not as intimidating.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. That's kind of our intent too with the smaller version. A more friendly price point at that, to get that many more out. But then it's also, like you said, just a smaller version. It's less intimidating for the guys who want to get into swim bait fishing but haven't really jumped in, and got their feet wet. It's a bait to get their feet wet, but not dive head first into.
Yeah, cause like, dude, if you look, like, I think one of the only like really kind of finesse bluegill glides that I have is the Finesse Gill by Kyle Gracely.
Gracely.
And yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, so if you put that in your hand and you take like a missile baits like D-bomb and you put it like over top, it's like there's not too much of a size difference in that. It's just like a confidence and a mental thing. Like
for sure. And another perk to that would be you can throw it on conventional gear. So the guys who do have like a frog setup, per se, like a jig setup, they go out and they can rip these smaller glide baits versus having to spend, $400 or $500 on a new beefed up rod and, a new round reel. That's another $500-$600 in and of itself. Or there's definitely more of a friendly side to the smaller, more finessey BFS swim baits.
Dude, so I got a finesse shat from Gracely Baits, and then I got the finesse skill. And I got a couple other like little small, like I got a doobie little multi-jointed
Okay.
bait.
Yeah.
Um, dude, I throw. Oh, and my throwback cheat code, dude. I throw all that on a fucking medium power jerkbait rod, and it's like super
And
sick
that's
for it.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a much friendlier way to kind of jump into swim bait fishing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we are very, very excited about the smaller Gen 3s, and honestly the larger ones too.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of like how the Wi-Fi was, this was really cool, and I really appreciate you making time to come and do this.
Yeah, 100%, dude. We're having a fun.
Yeah, not a problem. I appreciate you guys coming on, and yeah, is there anything you want to leave us with where you can find your baits, where you can follow you guys on socials?
I'd say definitely keep up with the Instagram. That's where we're most active, just being in the younger side of the generation. If you want to check out our website, it's bcswimbaits.com. And all we have to say is stay tuned. Like I said, there's a lot on the way, so keep your eyes peeled and expect big things from us.